What's up, everybody? My name is Paul Leston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. We're streaming live simultaneously in 3 different places. The Heavy on Jets Facebook page to over 20,000 New York Jet fans out there, and we're going to get to the brutal, gut-wrenching loss that this was. We're streaming live on my YouTube account, youtube.com/BoyGreen25, and on my Twitter account as well, @BoyGreen25. If you're new to the show, again, 2 hours essentially after every game, we go live here to do our post-game show. We're on for about an hour. We're going to dive into all the storylines, your comments, your topics, and a lot of different things here on the show. So, guys, this is a platform for you guys to be able to speak, and also for us to be able to go through the game. Man, there's a lot to get to on this one. I'm going to be honest. I'm incredibly upset, and there's a lot of reasons for that. And, man, what an elite defensive performance that was wasted. Garrett Wilson said it after the game. I have a huge clip that I'll tweet out after the show's over. We're in the show now, so I'll wait to tweet it out. But essentially, Garrett Wilson said, we gave up 3 points in terms of the defense, and we lost. Like, how does that even happen? I'm still trying to figure it out myself. The Jets defense was elite all gosh darn day long, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. The Jets were just fantastic on the defensive side of the ball. They destroyed the New England Patriots. Now, the overall yardage, 297, and a few of those things will look nice, but the Jets just got after New England time after time, shut them down to the red zone twice, forced 2 missed field goals on Nick Folk. I mean, they allowed 3 points. I mean, that's the easiest way to say it. And then when you look at defensively, for the second straight time, okay, they sacked Mac Jones 6 friggin' times. 6 times. That's in both games this year, 6 sacks, 12 sacks total in just those 2 games from this Jets defense, which was flying on all cylinders. Unbelievable. The Jets, as a defense, gave up 3 points, and they lost. They lost. The Patriots scored, as an overall team, 10 points with that last-second special teams touchdown. And the Jets lost. Time after time, this offense had opportunities to do something. The defense gave them life. Big-time plays. And the Jets offense couldn't do crap. And as one of the most vocal Zach Wilson defenders this season, I'm here throwing my hands up like, what the hell, man? What the hell? This guy couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. I mean, good Lord. Screens, passes. I mean, there was no pressure around him on a couple of them, and he hit the popcorn guy at the stands in Foxborough. What the heck? I mean, frustrating, pulling the hair I have in my head every friggin' time. I mean, it was disgusting, pathetic, and despite all of that, they continued to have chances to win this game. They couldn't do anything. Couldn't do jack diddly. Man, this is one of those where earlier this season, when the Jets had lost a few games, because obviously they had lost 3 games before this one, they're now at 6-4 in the season. They had lost games, and I said that, okay, like, you can lose this game for this reason or that reason, but this reason today is exclusively on the shoulders of one Zach Wilson. There's just no other way to put it. He was terrible. He was god-awful. Here are the stats, by the way, for those counting at home. Zach Wilson, 9 of 22, 42% completion percentage, 77 passing yards, 3.5 yards per clip, and he was sacked 4 times. A 50.8 quarterback rating, or if you want to use the ESPN scale, 24.4. And here's another thing. On one hand, it sounds good. Ooh, Zach Wilson used his wheels a couple of times in this game. I was like, hey, Zach, there you go. He was a leading rusher for the Jets. 26 yards. 26 yards. Zach Wilson should never lead this team in rushing. So the Jets couldn't run the ball. Michael Carter, nothing. James Robinson, nothing. So couldn't run the ball, couldn't pass the ball. Essentially, it was get the ball, blah, 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 punt, blah, 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 punt, over and over and over again. I still can't believe that this Jets defense was able to do as well as they were doing after just sucking wind because the offense was barely on the field. They just came in. It's like that Simpsons meme where Grandpa comes in. Comes in, takes the hat off, puts the hat back on, goes right out the door. That was the Jets offense all day long. Disgusting. And this Jets team, I have not felt this way this passionately until this very moment, that the quarterback position is holding back the New York Jets. Defense played great. Braden Mann, for basically the entire game, was spectacular outside of the long sailing punt. Again, the Jets couldn't tackle for crap in this game, which speaks to how well the defense played, is that there were several. Ramondre Stevenson running through defenders, lazy-ass tackling. So the defense was great. There were a few of those you can squint at and say, hey, what the heck, man? But overall, the defense played well. Special teams played well outside of that last play where it's an 84-yard touchdown. I still can't believe that happened. I was at a bar watching this game. I just decided to go out for this one and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go with the great peeps, and I'm going to go watch it. So that was painful. I just stared into the dark abyss. I had to return home to do some articles, of course, Jet fans calling for Zach Wilson's head, and then this live stream show, obviously. I'm just infuriated. I'm just so angry. So first off, let's go with a couple of things here. The Jets lose to the Patriots for 14 straight times. Today was the 14th straight time. 14. And in both games, the Jets could have, should have won. That makes it tough. Man. Man. 14 straight times. Now we're going to have to hear about all this Patriot crap for another full year. Another year of hearing this crap. The Jets could have been in first place in the AFC East. Instead, now they're in last. Patriots win. Bills win. Dolphins on a bye. And we were so close to the dream. We're so close to the top. We're so close to the clouds of dreaming that impossible dream. And now back in bottom, back in last place. Now, at the end of this, I'll give you optimism. Okay, I will try to find it right now. I don't have it. Maybe I'll have it in 50 minutes. Because there's still 7 games on the calendar. They got the Bears, the Jaguars, the Lions all at home. Those could all be wins. But this one they should have had. And they didn't have it because of the offense. If we're being honest, this is supposed to be a therapeutic session here. If we're being honest with one another, the offense held them back. Mike LaFleur, I'm going to be honest. Again, Zach Wilson was the main problem. I don't want that to get lost. Zach Wilson sucked. I mean, he sucked. He was terrible. I mean, trash. Outside of the few runs where you're like, ooh, that's nice. I mean, he was garbage. Straight trash. Zach Wilson sucked. So I want to make that perfectly clear because I don't want someone coming on later, Zach Wilson defender Paul Esden. I tried, but not today. I can't defend that. That was indefensible. That was terrible. Suck. A total suck job. Now, with that being said, Mike LaFleur, what are we doing on every 3rd and 1 shotgun? You just run the ball. It's 3rd and 1 QB sneak. ISO play. I don't know. Something. Not shotgun. Hike the ball. I guess I'll throw it to Michael Carter for a 2-yard loss. All right, I guess we'll punt, and then the Patriots win it. You had the chance to have the ball last in your hands. Run it, force New England to use one of their 2 timeouts remaining, and then if you didn't convert, it's 4th and inches. If you QB sneak, it's 4th and inches. You're not losing 4 yards on a QB sneak. Man, Mike LaFleur, this was one of the worst call games by Mike LaFleur this entire gosh darn time. The drops were killer. Denzel Mims with a key drop. Zach Wilson didn't have many drops to his receivers because he barely ever hit them. He was just sailing balls all over the place. Should have had the pick to McCourty at the end of the first half. What the heck? And it was just rough. And I think a part that really affects a lot of people is after the game, Zach Wilson is asked, hey, did you feel like you let your defense down? He said no. So lack of accountability once again at the podium, it seems, from Zach Wilson. And it's just, man, again, I like the fire after the first Patriots game. But it only means or meant something if he came back and delivered in this one. He didn't. All right, let's get to some comments here. Brutal. I mean, this is one of the worst losses in quite some time. Absolutely brutal. Bryant, Zach sucks. There you are. Yeah, not very good. Atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. Winston, I'm still in anguish. As am I, Winston. I am crippled over, but I have to do this show. I'm a professional. Brian, they played like a bunch of scrubs. Terrible. Disgusting. Man, Zach Wilson just... What was he doing, man? What was he doing? And then after the game, he's like, it's windy? What do you mean it's windy? New England seemed to hit on a couple of chunk plays in that game. Mac Jones found a way. Mac Jones wasn't great. Don't make any mistake about it, but they found a couple of chunk plays. If the Jets had a couple of those, they win this game. Zach Wilson says, hey, it's windy out there, guys. I mean, come on. What do you mean it's windy, man? You're a quarterback. Figure it out, man. You couldn't run the football, so it was up to you, quarterback, to make something happen. And he didn't. Trash. Ugh. Brian, no offense whatsoever. Oh, God. Stephen Rosiak on our YouTube channel. Again, make sure you guys, wherever you're watching, support. We're here, whether win or loss. We don't just cherry pick. We're here all the time. So like the video, hit subscribe down below for more New York Jets content. Make sure you show your support wherever you're watching. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to use the YouTube Super Chat feature where you can throw a tip to support the show, and we always appreciate that. Again, that's available on YouTube, and it's for free to like and subscribe. Stephen here. Paul, if Zach Eboy finishes the season playing anything close to what he played like today, you can expect either Carr or Garoppolo or someone of that nature to be at the quarterback position next year. Unfortunately, Stephen, I already wrote a piece about it. It'll drop on Heavy later tonight on the possibility of Derek Carr. And it feels tough to write that, I will tell you. But with the Raiders likely finishing with the top pick somewhere in the 2023 NFL draft based on whatever season this will be, and Josh McDaniels thing not working, they will be tempted to take a young quarterback, which would make a Derek Carr a potential piece. I mean, at this point, it's a question. It's a question. I wasn't willing to entertain it at other points of the season, like, hey, you got to give the kid a chance, got to give the kid a chance. But you have to explore all options. Now, obviously, this season, you are what you are. The trade deadline has passed. Jimmy Garoppolo's on the 49ers. Not suggesting you're saying that. I'm just saying that to everyone. The trade deadline is passed. The only quarterbacks you have are Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, Mike White. By the way, Robert Saleh, after the game, reiterated that Zach Wilson is his quarterback, and there will be no change. No change is coming. So for anyone asking for a change midseason this year, does not sound like that's going to happen, according to Robert Saleh. Now, coaches could change their minds, and they do it all the time. But in terms of a quarterback change midseason, I don't think that's going to happen. And by the way, I've been adamant I'm not a fan of Mike White. I've been adamant that I'm not a big fan of Joe Flacco. But, I mean, this just can't be the offensive output. This team is too good. This is a Super Bowl caliber defense. The special teams 9 times out of 10 are good. They've been 9 times out of 10 good this season. The running game was obviously missing today, and, man, we miss Breece Hall more than anything. New England, quite lucky, they didn't play against Breece Hall at all this year. A Denver game happened right before New England, and obviously not this matchup. So that's brutal. But, yeah, I mean, 100%. Joe Douglas, the New York Jets general manager, and New York Jets head coach Robert Saleh, they realize how good this team is. Again, they got a Super Bowl caliber defense. We talked about the special teams and a lot of young, really talented players. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Jermaine Johnson, Quinnen Williams, all these guys. And you can't waste that with the quarterback that can't get the job done. And everything that we've seen thus far, is that he can't get the job done. There has not been something shown by Zach Wilson coming off of this game where you're like, wow, that's the guy. It hasn't happened. Could it still happen? Of course it can. There's games left in the season. But at this point, no. So to your point, Stephen, yes, Jimmy Garoppolo, who is set to be a free agent, he cannot be franchise tagged, so he will be an available quarterback option. Derek Carr will likely be a quarterback option. You have to evaluate all things. Now, there won't be a draft item outside of something crazy because, again, the Jets, no matter what they do the rest of the season, will be too good to be in any of those quarterback conversations. So I would imagine if they go in a different direction or at the very least push Zach, because it's not like you're going to cut Zach or anything, that you're going to bring a veteran quarterback in like Jimmy Garoppolo or Derek Carr to compete with Zach Wilson. Then you see what happens. And likely one of those two guys would likely beat him in said competition. But Stephen, the point is that coming off this game, that is 100% a conversation we have to be willing to have. This team is too good, and the quarterback is holding them back. Patrick Lee Jennings on our Facebook page. That one hurt, especially a lose like that. The whole offense was horrendous. From the offensive line to Zach, all played horrible. 100%. The offensive line was leaky. However, I still think Zach was the bigger problem. But yeah, the offensive line was not great. Again, Zach Wilson was sacked 4 times, and they weren't able to create lanes in the running game. It was disgusting. As Brian says, yeah, what a gift. Nick Folk, the locked in guy, misses 2 field goals, and again, which allows the 3-3 game. The defense gave them opportunities, and the Patriots' mistakes gave them opportunities to win this game time after time after time, and it didn't happen. Let's go to Gator needs his gat. Oh, I love that other guy's reference. From Will Ferrell. I don't know why we're so afraid to call a spade. Does Wilson have potential boatloads? Is he a bust? Yes. Is he the answer? No. He has historic levels of incompetence. Quarterbacks don't come back from this. Let's go through a few things. Of course, he's got potential. He's the number 2 overall pick, so I agree there. Is he a bust? At this point, if you had a gun to my head, he's more bust than not. And is he the answer? At this point, he does not appear to be. But I believe he will be the answer for the rest of the season. That's what Saleh and Joe Douglas have continued to tell us. Unless this continues to happen, right? Again, this was one of the worst offensive performances in Jets history. It was god-awful. They had under 100 yards passing. In the second half, Robert Sarr called it, quote, dog shit in terms of the Jets offense. And they had 2 yards or something. It was pathetic. Terrible. So, yeah, quarterbacks normally don't come back from this sort of thing. So if you want to, base yourself off of that. But in terms of, I will say this season, the Jets are going to continue to ride Zach Wilson. Mike White is not great. Although there has to be something said about the Jets' random decision midseason, say, hey, Mike White's a QB2. But they said they will only go to him via injury. Again, NFL teams lie all the time. Maybe that changes. But at this point, they're going to continue to ride Zach Wilson. Let's go to Scott Collins. Man, I never thought I would ever look at my Sam Darnold jersey and feel like I missed him. But after today, it's unreal. Don't get me wrong. Sam was bad, but at least he could hit 5-yard passes, Paul. Yeah, I feel this constant, desire with all because, again, the Jets have had a lot of young quarterbacks, Christian Hackenberg, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, blah, 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 Bryce Petty, all these guys, right? So, I've flushed down the toilet, what they were and things of that nature. Sam Darnold obviously had a turnover problem, both in college and in the NFL. But the 5-yard passes thing is weird. Sure, was the win bad? Yeah, but Mac Jones was hitting guys. And the field position flips every quarter. So it's not like it was some unique advantage for Zach or disadvantage for Zach that wasn't there for Mac. That's the part that is frustrating. But the thing is, Scott, it's been consistent, obviously, with Zach Wilson. It's consistent how he's been inconsistently hitting his guys in the flat and short. But, he's talented enough to hit them. So, what's happening? That's the thing that is frustrating when I'm watching. Zach Wilson, we missed a couple of these. There's no pressure. When there's pressure, I get it. Your footwork's not proper and you kind of, throw it into you dirt it, essentially. But, when on a couple of these where he took the shotgun snap, he looked out to the left, saw a guy, and they evaluate back to the right and said, no, I'll throw it to the left, and just sails. I just don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. I'm not a quarterback guru. I don't know, but it looks like a footwork issue. And just calm down, dude. There's no pressure on you. Just pat the ball and boom, deliver. You can. You're the number 2 overall pick. Of course you can. You're talented enough to do so. Do it. But yes, that's tough. Let's keep going here. But guys, feel free to continue to drop your comments, questions, everything. This is a show by the people for the people. Bryant, if we would have won today, we'd be in first place. Damn. 100%. That's one that really hurts. So losing to New England sucks. I will just say that. Losing to New England sucks in general. It's happened 14 times in a row. I mean, you can't really speak from that statistic. It's not, rivalry. It is to the fans because we hate New England, but the guard continues to change. Cam Newton, Mac Jones, doesn't matter. The Jets keep finding ways to lose. And this one is one of the most crushing, for sure. Oh, there you go, John. Jets defense was on the field for 48 of the 60 minutes. And the fact that they were able to still do that, to me, is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And is a major credit to them. But, man, the Jets offense owed it to them to do something. Chris K. the fifth, bro. Zach really showed out today. He showed us all what even the most hopeful of fans didn't want to admit. He's not a franchise quarterback. Sad but truth, man. Again, based on everything you're seeing, you're right, Chris. He is not shown to be a franchise quarterback. He is, and that's the toughest part because the Jets finally have seemingly gotten everything else right. Breece Hall, when healthy, obviously is dynamic. The wide receiver weapons are good. Elijah Moore back. The defense is elite at every level. But the quarterback just not finding waves. And, man, the Jets' terrible luck and history in drafting the quarterback position has been rough. So, again, I think the question will be for the offseason is veteran quarterback who becomes available. They always do. Derek Carr is probably the top name on my list at this point. I haven't really dove in or dived in to those names because I was all aboard the Zach Wilson train. So, more studying to be done in the offseason, but it's obviously a very legitimate question at this point. No doubt about it. The questions and conversations have to happen. Chris K., I think we absolutely lost this one. We deserve to lose on all fronts except defense. Yeah, defense was great. Special teams for the most part, but I thought Braden Mann did a respectable job. Let's pull up the numbers, I suppose, instead of me just talking out of my patookie here. Braden Mann had nope, that's punts. Let's see. No, that's not right. Oh, there it is. He had Braden Mann had 10 punts for 458 yards, a 45.8 clip. Very healthy. He had 2 punts down inside the 20. His longest was 57. Like Braden Mann, for the most part, 9 out of the 10 punts, if you will, were spectacular. Flip field position. Did a really good job, especially in a game of this magnitude. Obviously, the last one he sailed, and the tackling was bad. So it's bad when you sail it right in the middle of the field. That gives a returner options. If you pin him to one side, you can kind of focus your special teams on that angle of the field. But when it's wide open in the middle, you give him options and lanes can open up and miss tackles and everything else. By the way, I will address this. The Jets lost this game. One more time. The Jets lost this game. There was 2 very clear block in the back penalties that were not called. One was right at the front at the beginning of the return, which of course would have negated the entire thing. And number 2 was right by the end zone. Now, the Patriots still would have been in a great position to kick a field goal to win the game anyway, but at least you make them kick it instead of just walking in the touchdown. So there was 2 clear block in the back penalties missed, but it is what it is. We can't cry ref because the Jets offense did everything they did and did not seize the moment. But I want to make that clear to all the people that were bringing that up. Nick Tucci, to be honest, I think we should just try and sign Lamar during free agency. You? I mean, sure. Yeah. MVP Lamar Jackson? Yes. He's never going to make it out there. The Ravens will franchise tag him if they don't get to a long-term deal. The only thing is if somehow he went nuclear Earth and they would still franchise tag him, so you'd still have to trade for him. But he goes, I'm never playing for the Ravens again. Screw you, people. You better trade my ass or I'm never playing for you again. They're like, I guess we got to trade him. Maybe. But that's not going to happen. So I'm sure we'll cover it for heavy when the fans' noise keeps getting louder for Lamar, but I don't believe he's going to be an option, unfortunately, because of how that works with the franchise tag. With that said, Patrick Lee Jennings here. I've been supportive of Zach all over social media, and this loss isn't on him, Interesting. But with that said, Zach didn't do a damn thing. I'm close to saying we need to move on from him. I've been supportive of Zach as well, but this loss is completely on him. There's no other way to put it. While he didn't have a pick and he didn't have the fumble or anything in this one, just his lack of ability to move the football. Sure, he was cost by a couple drops, but it was much more his inaccuracies than the drops or anything else. This is squarely on Zach Wilson. He blew it. It's all on him, and he needs to come to grips with that and hopefully bounces back as he did it. Remember, the first New England game where threw 1 billion picks and sucked, he followed it up with a great performance against Buffalo. So maybe the great performance comes against Chicago, who traded 2 of their best defensive players in Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn. So maybe the Bears is that come out party and we all go, okay, Zach Wilson's fine. But it's going to be a believe it, kind of see it thing. Again, we're going to have to see Santa's fat ass come down that chimney before we all start singing, sweet Christmas carols. Again, it's a see to believe. It won't necessarily be a faith thing where you just say, I think it's going to happen, even though I haven't seen it. It's going to have to be a see kind of thing. from that standpoint. But I'm close as well. Again, after this loss, I am completely open to options. Completely open. Jim Nance, I wonder if there's any relation. Zach sucks, and he won't take accountability for an awful game. Bench him next week. I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe the Robert Saleh, when watching the tape, will change his mind on that, but I do not believe so. The accountability thing, and I've talked about it, is he needs to just be better with the media from that perspective. They ask him, hey, did you let down your team? Just say yes. What's wrong with saying yeah? Absolutely. Like, look at the offense was freaking anemic. We put up 3 points. Our defense held them to 3 points. We need to win those games. Hell yeah. That's squarely on me. That's on my shoulders. I got to be better. What's so wrong with saying that? Then none of us fans are talking about it. None of the players are talking about it. None of the media people are talking about it. Just take the L, man. And I don't know if it's an egotistical kid saying, screw that, man. Even if he knows it's true, he just refuses to admit it. And that's a character flaw. You need to be able to admit when you're wrong. I hate being wrong. Okay? I hate being wrong. I was obviously wrong about this game. I thought the Jets were going to win this game. I thought they're going to win the game handily. None of those things happened. So, but you got to take the L. You got to take it for your team. You got to take it for everyone. Take the L. Take it on your shoulders. That's why you're the quarterback. You get probably more blame than you deserve for losses, and you get more glory than you deserve for wins. That's the nature of the position. Take the L, bro. Take the L, and he did not. So that rubs a lot of people the wrong way, and I don't blame him. Tommy, 2 friggin' weeks to prepare. Pathetic. 100%. Although I would say the Jets defense did a phenomenal job, but in terms of 2 friggin' weeks to prepare from an offense perspective, yes. Mike LaFleur again called a horrible game, and Zach Wilson delivered an even more horrible performance. So shame on both of them. William, is it time to try Mike White again? To me, I don't think Mike White's very good. Maybe give him a whirl, because obviously the Jets feel like they want to kick the tires on him if Zach Wilson were to get hurt. But I don't think Mike White is really anything. But maybe you try it. I just feel like you need to know by the end of this year, maybe some fans already know, whether Zach Wilson is a guy. Because as soon as you go from Zach Wilson to Mike White, I think it's over. I don't think there's any way to go back to it. I don't think there's a way to sell to the fans and to your quarterback, hey, Zach, why don't you take a week off, man? We'll go to Mike White. And let's say Mike White blows it up. Then you can't go back to Zach Wilson. If he sucks, you can't say, okay, Zach, just kidding. We're going back to you because Mike White sucks. I feel like once you call that genie out of the lamp, there's no way to put the genie back. So once you make that decision, I think it's over, honestly. Now, they said that to the Colts about Matt Ryan, like they said, hey, you're benched for the rest of the year, and then he was all of a sudden thrown back in, but there's a lot of extenuating circumstances to make that possible. Is it time to try Mike White again? In my opinion, no. But we will see if that changes. Again, I just don't think Mike White's very good. He had the Bengals game. That was cool. That was crazy. And Zach Wilson has never had a game like that. But I think, obviously, he's limited athletically. Obviously, Zach Wilson was number 2 overall pick. Mike White was a former 5th-round pick. Every team passed on signing him. And I don't know, man. I just don't think Mike White's very talented. Now, Zach Wilson has sucked. So, again, all options are on the table. All options are on the table. But no, in my opinion, it's not. And it sucks that we have to talk about this, but it is what it is. Dade County McFly. We got to get another explosive running back in the draft next season. I don't think they will, because James Robinson you're bringing back. You got Brees Hall, you got Michael Carter. How many running backs are you going to have on the team? So I do not believe that's going to happen. But, I just don't think that's going to happen. Let's keep going here. Let's go to Mike Bonnet. Jets haven't had an offense that's tragic. In 2015, and that actually was one of the best offenses in Jets history. So, yes, it's been only spurty, but nothing to that point. Let's keep going. Robert S. Josh Allen, after the loss, accepted responsibilities. Actually done the same. 100%. Josh Allen does it almost too much. In a good way. I'm not saying in a bad way. Like he says, that loss was complete. He dives on the sword. And I think, again, it's simply just, even if you don't even believe it, which I'm sure he does, but he's not saying it to the media, and it just comes off really bad. It's bad optics is the best way to put it. It looks great for your teammates when you go out of your way, which is the Josh Allen thing. Josh Allen, the Jets game Vikings game, and he did it for one other game. He said, the loss is completely on my shoulders. I blew it for the team, blah, blah, blah. And then I listened to the press conference to hear from the other players, Bills players, and they said, like, man, Zach's a soldier for doing that. That's awesome for him to say it. And he's trying to take it on his shoulders. But obviously it's on all us, all these other players. But they respected the heck out of Josh Allen trying to, dive in front of the bullets for him, which is good. But again, at the end of the day, as we're looking at this, he needs to start doing this, and it's a learning lesson. It's a harsh learning lesson, and I don't know how you have that conversation, but you need to have it. And again, or guys are going to start turning on you. Again, the Garrett Wilson comments after the game were very alarming. He had all kinds of things to say. I'll read you some of them. We won't get to play the clip, like I said, saved in my drafts here. Here's Garrett Wilson after the game. They're talking about the offense. This shit is not okay. Straight up, it's not okay. How many total yards did we have? The Jets had 103. That shit's not going to fly. We got the dudes. It's time to be consistent. It's time to win the games we should win. It's unacceptable. No one wants to feel like this, but that's not enough. You got to do something about it. I feel this is a wake up for some of the people in this facility, for us in the facility to get on our details. When asked who, he said all of us. More from Garrett Wilson. We got to come the right way, come ready to work. We got to have a plan. We can't be passively working and can't just be in the facility and not know what we're there for. I'm going to call it like it is. We got to get better in the passing game if we want to be at where we want to be at. We know we can be there. That's the most frustrating part. We ain't got to be in the games like this. They didn't even score on offense and we lost the game. This shit is sorry. We're looking sorry out there, man. We know that we're not sorry, so that's why it really hurts. We know we're better than that. We can do more. Honestly, I feel like they got to put more trust in the receiver room. I feel like we could go up and make plays and do things. I don't know if everyone feels that way, but hopefully by the time we get around to next week, everyone feels that way, end quote. That was Garrett Wilson after the game to Mike Girardi and the rest of the media there. That last comment from Garrett Wilson sounds Quinnen Williams-ish. And remember, Quinnen Williams barked at his coach saying, hey, put trust in us. We could do this thing. And, of course, the Jets defense turned it around. So, give us wide receivers a chance. Like, trust us. And maybe something changes offensively. Let's keep going here. Mike, is Saleh willing to lose his job for a better quarterback? I don't believe Saleh would be fired this year if he just rode Zach Wilson through to the end of the year. He has proven to be a very capable guy. I do not believe that decision would do it because I believe him and Joe Douglas are in sync. He would not continue to play Zach Wilson if Joe Douglas didn't want him to, and vice versa. I know that Robert Saleh has control over the depth chart, but if he and Joe Douglas were not aligned in that sense, that would be very clear. They are aligned in that sense. Let's keep going here. Mike Steady, Loserville told you day one. Okay. Let's keep going here. We got a super chat in here, and Gator needs his gat. I want seed, and by the way, thank you so much. Gold, baby. Again, if you guys would like to dig into your pockets, you'll see that the comment has a special color and help support the show. And I'll always give you guys a shout out. So Gator needs his gat, baby. I love it. Thank you for supporting the show. I want CW to be the guy he isn't. The sooner we accept that and go to whatever plan B looks like, do it. Do not blow our chance at the playoffs and a Super Bowl defense for this kid. Again, you make compelling arguments, Gator, and I want Zach Wilson to be the guy too, and I think a lot of Jet fans do for what that's worth. But if we were ahead of the trade deadline and there was some sort of Derek Carr Garoppolo option you could go to, then we would have a legitimate conversation this year, but we don't. Like, let's be honest. Joe Flacco is the mobility of a parked car. He isn't the answer. Mike White, for all that he is a pending free agent at the end of the year. Maybe you put Mike White and he has magic. I just don't believe that's the case. Mike White can't do the things Zach Wilson is capable of. He doesn't have the ceiling, and even the floor is kind of questionable. He can run an offense, and we saw that in spurts, and maybe that's it, that we just remove the ceiling of this offense, just say, all right, Mike White, just don't turn the ball over, and just run this offense, throw it to the open guy. And maybe, I am willing to open the door to maybe on that. But I don't know if this plan B is coming this year. I think Zach Wilson will be ridden or rode through the rest of this year, and then they figure it out in the offseason. That's my thought, but anything can change. Again, all options are on the gosh darn table. This was pathetic. This was embarrassing what this game was. The Jets are going to be the laughingstock of every show tomorrow because of what happened. And deservedly so. The Jets defense put it out all on the line, and they got crap in return. Mike Steady, sell the team and clean house. A little aggressive there, Mike, but I can appreciate that. Nick Tucci, we're also missing Becton and AVT. Obviously, yeah. I mean, that would help the offensive line for sure. Let's see. We didn't want to believe the worst could happen, and it did. The combo of LaFleur and Zach. Yeah, Terry T. Yeah, the LaFleur and Zach. They had 2 weeks to prepare 100 yards of total offense. Pathetic. Mike Volpe. Who's on the autograph helmet in the back? I need to discuss something other than this game. Sure, let's take a quick detour, Mike. Yeah, so right here is I won an auction for those. If you guys want to ask about anything that you could see in the shot, feel free. This helmet is autographed by the entire New York Sack Exchange. Mark Gastineau, Marty Lyons, Joe Klecko, and Abdul Salam. A good buddy of mine, my regular job is a sports talk radio host. And my buddy said, hey, they're doing this auction. There's 12 slots, and everyone pays $20. And they're going to randomly draw, and one random person who paid $20 will win this helmet behind me. And I said, sure, I'll give it a whirl. I don't normally do these sort of things, but sure. And I won the helmet. They shipped it off to me, and booyah. I actually had a video reveal and everything for it. One of my most prized possessions. Super cool on the desk. I'm trying to see what else I have on the desk. This is, I just spoke at my college, so this was kind of the poster board where we had a networking event. That's me in my Joe Namath jersey, which, by the way, I wore today for the game. I thought it would be good luck, and it was not. There's 2 autograph items, over here. We have a mini autograph helmet here, and then an autograph football. The one up top is autographed by John Riggins, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Shout out to Gunny. He's another Jets content creator. And then the ball right here is autographed by Bart Scott. Can't wait. And there's a photo of Bart Scott during the COVID era wearing a mask signing said ball. So got a lot of autograph merch up here. You also see, just a random shout out, that's an autographed copy of Madden. I am good buddies with the 2 voices of Madden, Brandon Godden and Charles Davis. So I have autographed stuff. I do stuff with my charity to raise money for the Wounded Warrior Project with them. We were doing it every year before COVID and raising money, getting guys to send me autographed memorabilia, and I sold it on my social media portals and at an event at a local VFW to raise money for the Wounded Warrior Project, which is amazing. So that's there. Might as well look at whatever else is on the desk. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I got a pair of Jets autographed shoes. One shoe is autographed by Muhammad Wilkerson. Well, that was fun while it lasted. And the other one is autographed by DeBrickashaw Ferguson. I went to a Jets training camp, took the shoes off my feet, and said, hey, can you sign this? I said, this is weird, but sure, and signed it. And I have a longer story. I'll tell you basically the quick version here. The Jets training camp was somewhere in New Jersey. The Jets were staying at a hotel for whatever reason for that. It wasn't Cortland, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was New Jersey. And anywho, long story short, my dad picks a random hotel for us to stay at, and the Jets are staying at the same hotel. I find out by accident because my dad asked me to go get ice in his ice bucket. I'm like, all right. And I go to the wrong floor, and all of a sudden I see all these things on the wall that say, hey, here's the Jets laundry schedule. Here's the Jets. This. I went, holy crap. I'm on the Jets floor. And again, I'm just a random fan at the time. I'm not working for any Jets media or anything. And fortunately, I give my dad a lot of credit for this. I was wearing the latest Jets gear, the latest Jets training camp hat, training camp shirt, training camp shorts, and those Jet shoes behind me that you can see. They're right here. Right here. This is signed by Muhammad Wilkerson right here. It's hard to see with the ink. And the DeBrickashaw Ferguson one is over there as well. So anywho, luckily, my dad put me in the latest training camp gear. So I started perusing the halls because, you know, I was curious. I mean, how many opportunities am I going to get like this? So I'm walking the hallways, and I see a few Jet coaches kind of walk by me. Not like the head coach or anything, but like a few assistant coaches. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Like, they're going to be like, hey, what the hell are you doing here? But I just kept walking confidently. I think that's a key to life. If you do something with confidence, people aren't going to question it. So anywho, I'm walking the hallways, and like a few coaches, I'm like, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? And I guess they just assume I'm an intern or something. Then I come around a corner. Remember, I got those same shoes autographed by DeBrickashaw Ferguson. And then 2 hours later, I'm in this hotel. I passed D'Brickashaw Ferguson one-on-one in a hotel, like a hotel hallway on this floor, and I walked by him, and as confidently as ever, and no one can ever confirm or deny this, so you just got to take my word for it, I say, as I see D'Brickashaw Ferguson in my head, I'm like, oh my God, that's Brick. I go, hey, Brick, you need anything? He's like, nah, I'm good, man. I'm like, cool. Fist bump. And I keep walking. And then I'm calm, cool. And in my head, I'm like, wow, that was Brick. So, yeah, that's my cool claim to fame story there. That's awesome. D'Brickashaw Ferguson, of course, recently inducted to the Ring of Honor. And then next week for the Jets-Bears game, we have Darrelle Revis being inducted into the Ring of Honor. And hopefully we can win one of these games because Brick was inducted and Nick Mangold was inducted. We lost both of those home games. So hopefully this one we win for Revis, for his sake. But yeah, that's a cool story. Kind of take us away from the horrible game that this was. But yeah, awesome. So that's kind of the layout on the desk of some of the autograph merch. I've been very fortunate, Mike. Very fortunate. But I hope you enjoyed that story. A little detour on this road. Hawk, Mike LaFleur is terrible. He was lost before Brees was saving his ass and has lost again. 2 weeks to come up with that game plan. I've heard a few people say this both about Zach Wilson and Mike LaFleur, that Brees Hall bailed both of them out. I've heard that a few times. He's a home run threat and he covered a lot of holes. And maybe that's true. I mean, again, there is no excuse for this game plan. It was trash. It was absolutely awful. Geno Smith is kicking butt right now. All right, let's just take a peek. I know this is live and looks horrible for people who are checking this later. Let me just pull up the NFL scores that are going on. So the Cowboys are destroying the Vikings. Very nice. I picked the Cowboys, so I feel good about that. Broncos, Raiders in this weird slugfest at the end of the game. Steelers are closer to the Bengals than probably anyone would have thought. Did I miss Seattle? Who the hell is Seattle playing? Maybe I'm missing that. I don't see any Seattle. I think they're on a bye week. So whoever said that, it is not Geno Smith. He is on a bye week. I should have known that because DK Metcalf's on my fantasy team. So no on that. Benny Belichick is the Jets' daddy. That is disgusting, but at this current moment, I cannot deny that he's been kicking our butt. He's been kicking our butt. Braden, oh, there you go. Maybe we get to face the Patriots in the playoffs and we win. Haha, yeah, right. The only way that would happen, because right now, let's pull up the NFL playoff picture. I don't know if it'll be updated yet. Let's see. I'm going to pull this up. NFL playoff picture. I know the Jets are probably on the outside looking in, I think, with all the wins and losses that happen. I'll throw this up on the big board here for everybody. Like I said, I'm not sure if this will be completely updated. We will see. Yes. Okay. So let me, I'll throw this up so you guys can see it. This is the NFL playoff picture. NFL.com does a really good job of this. Again, games are still happening as we speak. So, okay, you can see it on the screen here. So Dolphins are now the number 2 seed because they were on the bye. So they assume first place in the AFC East. You have the Chiefs at number 1. They play later tonight. Titans, they won on Thursday night, so 3 seed. Ravens, I think they ended up beating the Panthers. Let me double check that. I'm pretty sure they did. It was a little weird early. Let's see. Yeah, they won 13-3. They covered my 13-point spread. Very nice. Thank you, Baltimore. Buffalo beat Cleveland. That was not pretty. They should have probably lost to Cleveland. Earlier in that game, Browns blew a lot of things. Jets win. They sweep the Jets. They have the tiebreakers. They're at 6. Jets are currently at 7. So here we go. Again, Bengals are still up in the air. But so if the Bengals end up winning, they're going to win, it looks like. They're ahead of Pittsburgh. They got a quarter to go, I guess. If they win, the Jets will be kicked out of the playoffs. They have the head-to-head tiebreaker. And also Chargers play tonight. We'll see. I believe the Jets have the tiebreaker on the Chargers with AFC. But I'll have to double-check that later. So anywho, long story short, the Jets are going to be out of the playoffs right now. So the only way that could happen, Braden, really, is if the Patriots won the division and then you would have an opportunity against them at some level of the tournament, or you meet them like in the AFC Championship game with how the seeding will work. Because if they both enter as wild cards, they're going to be on opposite sides as they're kind of working their way up. So maybe that's the vengeance we want. Although with their recent history, I would say no thanks on that. But my gut, my arrogance, my pride would say, come on, man, let's figure it out. So. But yeah, that boy. Oh, Hawk, yeah. I mean, what in the flying hoot just happened today? Can we make a gosh darn tackle on a punt return? And just in general, Ramondre Stevenson was super annoying. Like, wrap up. It was just lazy ass tackling on multiple occasions. And thankfully, it didn't cost him on that Ramondre Stevenson one. They end up missing a field goal anyway. And then the punt return, like, dude, wrap up, and then it's probably going to overtime, and then we'll see what happens. Maybe the Jets offense comes to life. Maybe they don't. Maybe a pick six or something happens, and then we don't need it. But also, I just have to go on a random tangent. Again, the Sauce Gardner punch out, that was a fumble. The NFL, they call it a fumble initially, and then they talk it over saying, nah, it wasn't a fumble. What do you mean? Like, it should be a fumble. It should be as you call it, and then do an official review because the call ended up standing, which means if you would have called it a fumble, it would have continued to stand, and the Jets have the ball at the 2-yard line, and who knows what happens in that game. So, gosh, what the heck? That was annoying. So that should have been a fumble, in my opinion. I thought it was a Brady thing, but it's a Belichick thing. Momo Adamo. I guess you're right, pal. Terrible. Let's keep going here. Bad play call, Brian says, to not punt the ball out of bounds. Yeah, I mean, yes. Again, punting it to the middle of the field just gives the returner too many options, and that's not something you should ever do. So, brutal. Why did the Jets run out the clock, too, to try to go to OT when we had 2 minutes to score? What did coaches think was going to change in OT? I think, to be honest, I was all about the Jets running the clock down on that third down you probably talked about before taking the timeout with about 34 seconds left. It's, again, because you got to protect yourself. It's not just about being aggressive with an offense, by the way, that sucked all day, but you got to make sure you don't leave too much time for New England to kick a field goal. Now, they end up winning it on a punt return touchdown, which sucks, but you have to, it's a fine line of like being too aggressive and then you put your team in a bad spot, as particularly your defense. So I have no problems with how that was handled from that perspective. I have a lot of other criticisms, which I've mentioned, but on that particular moment, I say that. Benny, Patriots should have had 2 easy interceptions they dropped. The McCourty one was easy. The other one on the sideline, he could have, should have, would have had it. Who knows if he gets his 2 feet in? But the McCourty one, there's no excuse. He should have had that. That was just a terrible drop. No doubt about it. 30-year Jet fans. Jet defense is Super Bowl caliber. I said that earlier, and I mean it. That's not hyperbolic. This Jets defense is the real deal, for sure. 30-year Jet fan. Chicago might be out of the quarterback for the next game. Yeah, for me, and I'll kind of get, be very transparent here. How I evaluate football games is I'm only watching the Jets. And then whatever highlights happen at halftime or something like that, my phone's on Do Not Disturb. I'm not really taking in the other games. In this particular case, at a bar, I was more so because we had 4 plasma screens, so I was seeing all the New York teams at once. But I normally catch up on Football Night in America, and then we have our Monday show for you with Will Parkinson. But I did hear that Justin Herbert got nicked up a little bit, so we will see. Or Justin Fields, I always confuse him. Justin Fields, I always get the Justins mixed up. Justin Fields, even if he's out, if he's in or out, I mean, let's be honest, this Bears team is not someone you should necessarily fear in any sense or fashion. The Bears, who lost to the Atlanta Falcons, they're 3-8. Heading into this game, they lost 6 of 7. So they've lost 7 of 8. I mean, this Bears team sucks. So Justin Fields has been this dynamic stud, but the team keeps losing. So if he's out, great. That makes things a little bit easier, I suppose. But I mean, nah, man. You just got to find ways to win. And again, that is the positivity we'll end on after I get through some more comments, is that all the season is still in front of the Jets. Everything they want to do. They're 6-4. And again, even if they would have won and been in first place, I mean, take a picture, baby. They're in first place in the AFC East, but the Jets still have to play the Bills and Dolphins after that. So nothing was decided, but obviously it would have felt great to be in first place. I had some tweets ready. Unfortunately, I got to save those in the draft. Because we were not able to use those. So, yeah, so that's tough. Anthony Joseph, yo, Paul, WTF was this game? Is our season over? The Bills win in Detroit, Michigan, and in Detroit, Michigan. Hope the Vikings can beat them next week. Yeah, so let's go through a few things. Is our season over with the Bills win in Detroit, Michigan? Absolutely not. The season is not over. You're 6-4, and like I said, you're about to be out of the playoffs right now, but the playoffs don't start anyway today. So there's a lot to be decided here. The Patriots have an incredibly tough schedule the rest of the way. They obviously have the Jets number, but we'll see if they have other people's number. So no, I do not believe the Jets season is over. They could get to the playoffs. Just the division becomes a lot more difficult and nearly impossible. I don't really want to say impossible because that's probably aggressive, but that Patriot loss stings. There's just no other way to put it. They could have been as high as the number 2 seed, and now they're going to be out of the playoffs, at least for this week, and hope the Vikings can beat them next week. The Vikings already beat the Bills. Let me see who you may be referencing instead on the Vikings. But yeah, wow. I mean, for them to get annihilated by the Cowboys is kind of crazy. Yeah, they play New England next week. I hear what you're saying. Or on Thursday, rather, for Thanksgiving. Yeah, the Cowboys are up 40-3 right now. Good night. With 10 minutes to go in that game. Ooh, mamacita. And again, I thought the Cowboys would win, but I wasn't quite sure that bad. I haven't seen any of the games, so I don't really know what's happening in that one. But good night. Good Lord, have mercy. My, oh my. That is crazy. I'm skipping around here, trying to get to the last year comments here, and then I'll give you some positivity on the way out. Let's see. Seeing Mike White stuff. Zach needs to go. Football instincts don't exist. Zach Wilson blows. Sell the Jets. Okay. Jets gang. We should have run on 3rd and 1, then ran on 4th and 1 to go for the win. We had 3 timeouts. I believe we had 2 timeouts. But the point is, regardless, is that I would have, with facing the 3rd and 1, I would have run it. You force New England to take one of their 2 timeouts, and then you make a decision like, okay, as I kind of talked about earlier. So let's say you QB sneak on 3rd and 1, right? So you're likely not losing yardage unless it's a complete disaster. So at a minimum, it's either going to be 4th and inches or 4th and half a yard. And you either punt to the moon, Alice, or you go for it and just say, hey, we're going to win this game. Hey, remember the Jets-Chargers playoff game? Remember the Jets are at midfield and Rex Ryan says, hey, we're handing it to Thomas Jones, baby. We're going to end this on our terms, whether he doesn't make it and then the Chargers have a chance to win, or we're just going to win this thing. And there was not that same level of confidence, which was disappointing. So I don't like shotgun in 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 anyway, and the Jets do that way too often. I've been very loud about my criticism of that. But yes, Jets gang, I think you're 100% right. I think you're 100% right with that take, and that's what I would have done there as well. Also, just kind of a bummer news. Nate Herbig was missed a couple of days of practice, and we're like, oh, boy, that's a concern. And then Robinson said, nah, he's going to play. And then he wasn't on the inactive, so you're like, oh, he's good. And Dan Feeney had to go out there, and, man, Dan Feeney is not great. He sucks. He had a holding penalty, and Dan Feeney was trash. So that's another reason they got LDT as future insurance, but there's no way he could have been signed within the week after being a doctor and then all the way into the starting lineup. So that's unfortunate. So Dan Feeney sucks. That did not help. Thomas Hill, Wilson can't play in this league. He played against Mickey Mouse teams in college, and now he's being exposed. Bust. Several exclamation points. Michael Floor needs to go. That's funny. Michael Floor earlier this week was on a future head coaching candidate list on NFL.com. Look how quickly the world changes on that. That is very interesting. Zach at the RPO slants. Yeah, he hit Denzel Mims right in the mitts and he dropped it. That one kind of sucked earlier in the games. That was brutal. That was brutal. Let's go to Lex. It's not over if you put Zach on the bench and let him watch. You might make him even better. He's clearly not ready right now. Again, Lex, I think if you made that decision when you first drafted him, write him on the bench so he can learn. That's one thing. What is he going to learn? What epiphany is going to hit this young man if it hasn't hit him yet? So I'm not sure I agree with the benching from that perspective. If you just want to bench him because you think he's trash, then fine. But benching him to get him to learn something, I think the best way to learn is in action and to be actually doing something. So I don't know. I'm going to have to push back on that one from that perspective. So that's just kind of my take on that. I just feel like it just is what it is. Mark Reese, Mike White had 8 picks in 11 quarters. Relax, guys. Again, yeah, he was. That Buffalo game was disgusting, and Joe Flacco stinks. So again, I it just doesn't make me feel great to go to either of those options. Anthony Jones, how did you get into the Jets? Well, Anthony, sure. Let's end on some rapid fire questions before we get out of here. Again, I don't have a cool story like my grandfather was a season ticket holder, so I was in terms of the Jets. It's really simple. My dad's a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan. I watched Cowboys games with him growing up. I didn't have any direct Jet fans in kind of my immediate circle that let it on me. The terrible things were happening to the Cowboys. And I wasn't feeling anything. And I felt like as a fan, you should feel the pain, the emotional roller coaster of your team. So my dad's in the fetal position when the Cowboys are sucking. And I'm like, man, that sucks. And I'm like, but I can't be a fan of this team if I'm not feeling it in the same way. And my grandpa gave me the nickname the Jet because I was running all over the place and kept doing this JETS, chant. I'm like, who the hell are the Jets? I go look up the Jets. And, long story short, I'm elbow deep in the Jets after 20-something years. I will just say in general, I wanted to play football, but I'm 5'2" on a slanted hill. So when I figured I couldn't play in the NFL, I thought the next best thing was to talk about it, analyze it, break it down. And I thought that could be my way of being as close to the game of football that I love. So I've covered the Jets for the last decade plus for a variety of platforms, most recently heavy on Jets, both as a writer, podcaster, and everything. And it's been spectacular. So thank you to all you guys for all the support through this. This has been a lot of fun for sure. And, so it's been a lot of fun to do this. I know this particular day was not very fun and that was painful. But I'm optimistic about this team's future. I think they're very talented, which will lead us to this final one. And I'll try to make sure I didn't miss anything here. And let's go to this. Where do we go from here? Jacob Finnegan, very reasonable YouTube comment. Where do we go from here? Well, literally, the Jets have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games left on the slate. Here are the games. Home against the Bears. You should win that game. At Minnesota. They're not as good as people say, but they're still 8-1, about to be 8-2 after getting their teeth kicked in by the Minnesota Vikings, or Dallas Cowboys, rather. At the Bills. I'm sure they'll be, quote, angry, but you beat them the first time, so that's kind of gravy what happens in that game. You have the Lions and Jaguars at home. Those can both be wins, so we're already at 3. Bears, Lions, Jaguars. They're at 6 wins. That gets them to 9-8. And then give me one of the road games. At Minnesota, at Buffalo, at Seattle, at Miami. See what happens. I predicted before the year they'd be 9-8. I think they can be 9-8. I think they can even be a notch better potentially. If you win one of those road games, you could be at 10-7 and be in the thick of the playoffs. 9-8, maybe you don't make it. It's kind of up in the air depending on how everything else happens. But personally, for me, I think there's a chance you could get in at 9-8, 10-7. I think you're 100% guaranteed. Since the playoffs expanded to 7 teams last year, all teams that won 10 games made the postseason. If you're in the playoffs, you have a ticket to the dance, anything can happen. So where do we go from here? I know it's tough, guys. And normally we have a 24-hour rule with kind of savoring a loss. In terms of savoring a loss and kind of moving on. Maybe this one takes a little bit more for us as fans, for the team. This is a bitter medicine that they have no other choice, but they just kind of have to kind of roll with it. So from here, guys, I know this sucks, and it sucks for me. I'm a fan and I cover the team, so it's a double cup of suck. But everything is still in front of this team. Everything is there. The team is here. Let's see how Zach Wilson responds. Again, he responded very well the last time he had adversity in the Buffalo game. We'll see if he can have a similar success against the Chicago Bears, who are coming in, and the Thanksgiving holiday and everything that's coming up. So I'm saying you guys appreciated the stories. Awesome. I'm glad we could have a little detour there. And again, feel free to ask any outside-the-box questions. Again, this is both Jets and whatever you'd like. That would be awesome. Let me see. And I think that's it. I want to make sure we didn't miss any super chats in here. I know we have a lot of comments. I wish I could get to all these, but we're just going to be plumb out of time here. But guys, you can feel free to hit me up as well at BoyGreen25 on Twitter, and I'll try to answer any additional questions that we didn't get to here during the show. Guys, this was painful, and take your time with this painful loss. But at the end of the day, they're 6-4. Everything is there for the New York Jets, and it starts with the Chicago Bears at home, a team that stinks. I mean, they are absolutely terrible. And as I'm pulling them up here, by the way, the Jets are a 75% favorite according to the FBI analytics. The Jets open as a 3.5-point favorite right now, according to Vegas. The last time the Bears won was against New England when they blew them out. They've had 4 straight losses. They have lost 7 of their last 8. Chicago sucks. There's no other way to put it. And this Jets defense should eat Justin Fields for breakfast. So you want to feel good? Win that game. You're 7-4, and let's go. Let's go. So that should be the message moving forward. Guys, thanks for joining us. Hopefully this was as cathartic and therapeutic for you as it was for me looking at this, and we'll have another show tomorrow. By the way, if I don't see you then, happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving. I'll be traveling to New Hampshire for the holiday week on Wednesday. I'll come back on Saturday. We'll have our post-game show again on Sunday for the Bears game. But if I don't see you, happy holidays to each and every one of you. Hold your loved ones close. And we'll be back here, of course, tomorrow on the show with Will Parkinson. We'll also have a Jets-Bears preview to give you this week as well. So if you guys want to hear more of the videos, if you haven't been part of the channel, make sure you go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25. Like the video, hit subscribe for more beautiful action. Many blessings to each and every one of you, and thanks, guys, for carving out time every Sunday to spend it with us. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Peace out, baby. Enjoy your Sunday.